Welcome to Back to Life, a podcast about living a more intentional and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Nicole Green. Join me each week as we slow down, maybe with a calm cup of tea, and we share conversations, tips, and resources for navigating this journey called life. Okay, let's get started. Hey there, thanks for tuning in. In the last episode, we talked about how to invite positive, healthy friendships into our lives. And today, I want to talk about the flip side, the people and relationships that maybe you don't want in your life so much. You know the kind of people that I'm talking about. You know, some of them just might rub you the wrong way. Others might drive you absolutely crazy to the point where just thinking about them puts you in a bad mood. And you know what? Honestly, it happens, you know, it's just like that sometimes. I mean, we're never going to be like best friends with everyone that we meet. That's unreasonable and unnecessary. But, you know, just like hanging out with positive people can greatly impact your well-being for the better, being around negative or difficult people can really drag you down. The good news is, while you absolutely cannot control how other people think or act, you do have more power in these situations than you might think. You have choices. And, you know, choices are important when it comes to the company that you keep and how you react or respond to those people around you, especially the ones that get on your nerves. So if you're sick of letting other people bring you down, listen up. I'm going to give you a simple 3-step process to help you develop a more mindful approach to dealing with difficult people so that you can get back to living instead of drowning in others' negativity. Okay, here we go. Step 1, what's going on? That's right. It's not just a classic 1970s peace anthem by Marvin Gaye. It's actually proposing a question that we should ask ourselves more often. What is really going on here? Sometimes we can be so stuck in reactive mode that we rarely stop to examine what might be happening under the surface, both in ourselves and in other people. And sometimes we don't want to. Often, if we do, if we can take that moment and kind of look at what's going on, sometimes the answer has nothing to do with what we initially thought. So when you notice someone is irritating you or creating negative energy in your life, the first thing you need to do is pause and breathe. You'd be surprised how just a few seconds can completely change how you see or react to something or someone. Now, in the moment, you probably won't be able to quickly process, but as you breathe and you pause, there are some things that you can kind of ask yourself or remember to ask yourself that can help you come to a better understanding of the situation. First question, are you triggered by someone specific? Sometimes we don't even need to speak to or be in the vicinity of that person for the negative vibes to be present. So think about who or what is actually getting under your skin right now. Another question, what buttons are being pushed when you engage with others? It can be so hard to admit to ourselves that we might be overreactive sometimes or hypersensitive to certain things, but we all have triggers like this. So rather than deny them, try to get kind of curious about exactly what could be causing you to feel upset and why. And then, what is the real issue? You know, every one of us interprets our reality through a filter of our own experiences, beliefs, self-perceptions, etc. And often our initial understanding of an issue is incomplete or can be completely off base. Our feelings are just that. They're feedback. But sometimes you got to be mindful that they can often mislead us. And that is why slowing down to process is so important. Okay, on to step 2. What about your friends? You know, the company you keep. Believe it or not, the company we keep does have an impact on who we are, how we feel, and the choices we make. Did you know that? What do you think about that? You know, there's a There's a quote that says, you become like the 5 most people that you spend the most time with. That can be a very sobering thought, especially if you don't have the healthiest people who are always around you. But you know what? There are a couple key culprits for why some of the people that you're surrounded with might rub you the wrong way. First one, bad company corrupts good character. Sometimes we set ourselves up by hanging around toxic people even when we don't have to, and allowing them to get us engaged in their drama. And nobody has time for that. This reminds me of a quote that I just recently found online. It says, "Don't let negative people drag you down. Remember that a person's character is not only judged by the company they keep, but also by the company they avoid." And that is so true. And so another reason why some people you're surrounded with might rub you the wrong way is personality clashes. Everyone is different and sees the world differently. So it may be a good idea to look for common ground. You can't always control who's around you, but you can try to focus on what is actually in your control, which brings us to the last and most important step: delayed reaction. Responding versus reacting. We've already touched on this a bit, but I really want to bring it home and dig a little deeper. You have more control in these situations than you may think. Take responsibility for the choices that you make, because that's in your control when it comes to the people that you surround yourself with and how long you stay with people who may not have the most positive influence around you. And especially how you react to them as well. Trust me, you'll be happier if you can learn to deal with difficult people and situations in a more intentional and mindful way. So how do we do that? I have a few strategies to help you get there. And once again, if you don't have pen and paper, don't worry, you can find this information in the show notes too. So, first strategy is take a pause or give yourself a timeout. I cannot stress how important a timeout or a pause is to a situation when you find yourself getting angry or irritated. Because instead of immediately reacting in the moment, it is so important to pause or to give yourself a timeout before responding. It can literally and drastically change the outcome of that interaction. And also, you don't want to be at the mercy of every emotion or thought that you have. It just never helps, and sometimes it just makes things worse. And you got to remember, when you have a reaction to someone to the point where it is like taking you off kilter, then that other person or that situation is controlling you and you are not in control. So that's another thing. I don't know about you. I don't want anybody controlling me. Just don't like that. So I remind myself, I'm in control. I can make a different choice in how I engage with this person. So while you're breathing and giving yourself a timeout, go to the show notes to get a free PDF of some things to think about when you're on your self-imposed timeout. It can really talk you off the ledge. Number 2, get quiet and calm. If and when it's time to respond, make sure you do so from a place of calm. Just stay cool no matter what. And, in the process, treat others with respect. It's important to listen, be humble, and get their perspective so that you can try and understand and look for common ground. Try to practice empathy and openness, even when you disagree strongly with someone. Remember, we all have our own lens in which we view things, but you have the option to choose your lens or to try and see things from someone else's point of view. 3, focus on what can be actioned upon, the things that actually are in your control. Once you examine without judgment your own feelings and what's really going on in the whole situation or with that person, you can make a decision on how to take action to address the issue in a calm and mindful way, such as let it go, shift your focus and do something about it, which is more of a solution than adding to the issue. And 4, create some space, or create more space if necessary. If all else fails, walk away from the situation or person causing all the negativity. Don't waste your energy on fruitless arguments. We spend so much time and energy on things that don't really matter or don't accomplish anything without even realizing how taxing it is to our own well-being. So you know what? Save your energy for the people you love and the things that you care about the most. Okay, there you have it. You can review these steps plus find links to more information and resources in the show notes for this episode. And be sure to check out the next episode when we'll address the topic of people pleasing. Yeah, that'll be interesting, huh? Until then, be well, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Back to Life podcast. Be sure to click subscribe so that you'll continue to engage with our new Back to Life community. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Hey There Nicole Green for more inspiration and tips on intentional living. Tune in next time on the Back to Life podcast as we discuss those relatable struggles of life with a dose of hope and healthy solutions. Until then, be well.